Hello and welcome back to the Discover WellBeing Podcast. I'm your host, Allison Adams, and this is Season 2. Before I introduce my guest, I want to give a huge shout out to all the listeners who gave me so much love and support throughout Season 1. I ended up with 26 podcasts, a combination of solo and guest episodes, and the heartwarming feedback filled me up. Whether we had a personal conversation, a DM, or me witnessing the shares and comments, it affirmed that this passion project of mine is the sacred vehicle I want to keep on driving. Fostering conversations and bringing people into my life, whether you're a listener, a client, a collaborator, a guest, we're all in this together, and it's a way to amplify the conversation and the opportunity to evolve personally, professionally, in the world, and especially in business. I'm incredibly grateful for all the wisdom, the expertise, and everything that's being shared in these conversations. So let's keep going. Now it's time to officially kick off Season 2. I'm starting with a dear guest, and her name is Jennifer MacNiven. For 4 years, Jen traveled the world with no set plan, just a deep desire to trust in the universe, that the openness to which each moment had for her. The journey became the foundation of her transformation, healing old wounds, discovering her true self, and eventually writing her book, Mind, Body, Soulmate. Today, she brings the same intuitive, soul-driven energy to her work as a brand photographer, retreat co-host, yoga instructor, and space holder for deep transformation. With an empathetic eye, she captures the essence of highly successful women in business, helping them feel seen and empowered and fully expressed in their branding. I know she did for me. She thrives in retreat places, documenting real, powerful moments of growth and connection, where through her photography, storytelling, or movement, because Jen loves aesthetic dance, and she's able to capture and reflect the beauty, the authenticity, and the evolution in all of us. And because she's never stopped expanding herself, she's currently training to climb Mount Kilimanjaro on her 50th birthday. I'm excited for you to meet Jen, so let's dive in. Hello, Jen. Welcome to the Discover WellBeing Podcast. I am beyond excited to jump into the content today, your wisdom that you want to share, and I just welcome you. How are you?
I am great, actually. So I'm so excited to be here as well. Thanks for having me.
Good. Okay, so before we launch into all the really juicy content, I always ask my guests, what does well-being mean to you?
That's such a great question. Well-being, especially for me, um, has to do with just how my mind is, my soul. I'm an empath, so well-being for me is how do I feel? So that can relate to how I interact with others, how I'm taking in food into my body, how I'm interacting with nature. Am I getting to do things that my soul thrives on? What brings me joy? The love and connection with friends and family. So I feel like it's all encompassing, but for me, it's really about a feeling.
Well, that translated because I just got a rush from head to toe when you brought in the soul.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting that what the audience doesn't know, other than reading the title, which is Mind, Body, Soul, in parentheses, Mate,
Mhm.
and that you are relating your well-being to your soul
Mhm.
and how it's expressing and relating in the moment. And that just went whoosh to me, the other
Yeah.
empath here.
I love it.
And so I was feeling you deeply.
Thank you. Yeah.
For our listeners, we should share is that when at a coffee shop here in Denver, Colorado, I find your business card. And I was looking for someone to do some brand photography, and I saw your photo. And I'm like, that woman has so much light and so much energy, and that is who and how I want to be captured, right?
Mm.
And so I know from experience your expertise and your gifts, but as a starting off point, so people can get to know you, where would you like to start in the conversation?
Hmm. I mean, where the space I am now is so different than where I started earlier in my years. So as of now, I mean, I'm really thriving in the space of brand photography, really helping women be seen, exploring health and wellness through retreats. I also teach yoga. So there's an aspect of that soul that is within, but also without. So I love helping primarily women, men too, but find that inner and outer light. So there's kind of this combo of how I work in life. So yeah, so I'm always game to share more about that part of my world right now.
Okay, beautiful. So we've mentioned that you have a book, Mind, Body, Soulmate. How did that journey look for you? When were you in your life or season of life that inspired you to write a book?
Yeah. I I had previously had a corporate career that ended in 2013, and I inadvertently, and when I say inadvertently, it really was inadvertent. I thought I was going on a month-long trip, and it turned into 4.5 years of worldwide travel. I know it's kind of crazy. And I landed back in the States in 2017, and I really needed a grounding spot. And I was from Seattle. I'd lived in Seattle for 20 years, and I just kept hearing Boulder. So I moved to Boulder. And when I had gotten to Boulder, I was still in that phase of life. At the time, I was 42. I'd never been married, never had kids, and I was still looking to meet the person. But what I was really reflecting on was that I knew I was going to meet somebody spectacular, um, because I had raised my level, raised my energy, raised my healing process to the point that I wasn't attracting that lower vibration of man that I was attracting before. And so in that kind of conquest, I realized like, well, wait, I'm my own soulmate first. And I realized like I did this work for me. So I did a bunch of transformational work. And it was so unconventional at the time. It's a lot more popular now. There's a lot of documentaries, there's a lot of sharing about it, but at the time it was very controversial. And I didn't want it to be so taboo. And I wanted people to know that you can come from a military family background, very conservative, done the traditional, check off all the boxes, except for me, I didn't get married or have kids, um, and find that you can, um, heal through different ways and step out of that box. And so the book came from all of that being like, okay, I gotta share this. Like, it just felt powerful. And for the women who have read the book, I know for a fact that it has changed lives dramatically. So even if it's only a few people that it's changed, I know that it has. So I felt like, regardless that it's not in paperback, but it's out there, it's on Kindle, and it's been out there for almost 6 years. But it has made a difference and it has made an impact. And that's what I wanted to do.
Oh, so you that was your birth,
It,
a
you know
rebirth
what's
and a
crazy?
birth.
It was a birth. I literally had a hysterectomy the day my book launched. So I've lost all my birthing rights, but I birthed the book. So it's like,
What?
it was very
Oh,
weird how that happened, but that's the way life worked out. So yeah, I have a
wow.
book as
And
a baby.
Did you have a writing coach? Was it an intuitive feel of what
Yeah.
you like, your own methodology and how you did it?
I actually went through a course. I spent way more money on making the book than I've ever received out of it. But it was powerful. It was called Incubator, and they took you through a 9-week process of writing a book. And they had it was very methodical. They wanted a woman in transition, or a person in transition wanting to share their story, to see what comes out on the other side. So they had a methodology about that. And while it took time to figure out who the client or, who's the ideal reader, how to structure the book, it actually only took me less than 2 weeks to write, which is
Wow.
crazy. Because once you have things kind of listed off, what it is that you want to write about, then you just kind of go through that process. And it's been edited twice.
So then take us from the point where the book is launched. You found you as the soulmate,
Mhm.
and maybe you even want to illuminate on that a little bit. But then what happened after in terms of attracting your
Well,
soulmate?
I actually met my person about 8 months prior. So I think there was a little bit of an affirmation of what I had done to meeting somebody, and that giving me a little bit more impetus to be like, okay, I'm not lying when I write this book, and be like, you know, so, and we're still together 6.5 years
Oh!
later. Um, but I felt like there was a little bit of like a safe space in that regards to be like, okay, yeah, now I can share my story. Um, I was a little hesitant because, when you share things maybe about your family or personal stuff, that people can be a little judgy about that. And, to be honest, my family has never read it, which I'm kind of okay with. But at the same regards, like it's a huge part of who I am and the story that came from that. There is just, they know about my travels, they know about my journey, the healing aspect, but um, it was really nice to have, you know, my partner Manny just be by my side and be like, "Oh, you got this." And it was really cool because when he read it, he learned so much about me, and I think there was a respect for what I had done, what I had gone through to get to that point. And then he also knew, like, "Oh yeah, she's real," like she's dialed in. Um, so yeah, it was a challenging process. It brought up a lot because I talk about some very uncomfortable things in the book as well, um, as some people might call triggers. And so you kind of have to relive those moments, and that's challenging for sure.
It's the ongoing opportunity to show how vulnerable we can be, to give Manny the opportunity to know you so quickly in terms of
Hmm.
transformation, right? And for the
Right.
future evolution of your relationship, I can only imagine, you're so magnetic, and then your ability to put words with that soul expression. He's like, I can't let her go.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that. As a book that's been out there for 6 years, what would you like to share in terms of things that you've encountered thereafter?
Oh my gosh. I mean, for me, my book writing process got thwarted, I guess that's a good word, through the Kindle process. So I actually lost every single person who pre-ordered my book. Um, and so what I realized is that I got really down about that. Um, they flagged my book for inappropriate content, which there wasn't any. And so I really didn't put myself out there again, which was weird. And so it was kind of like this, just little shares here and there. So people who have purchased my book or have read it, it's all been from word of mouth. And so there hasn't been a big launch. There was never a big party. There wasn't a big, um, to do about the book. It's all been word of mouth and me sharing, and it's felt really intimate. And so the people who have read it, I feel like, I get to know more of their story on how it's changed their life, which has been really exciting and fun because I've seen their transformation. Where if you're, a big name and a big seller and all these books have just gone out there, you don't get the intimacy from that. So I feel like I learned that if I were to do it again, I would want the big book launch. I would want to own the fact like it's a big deal. It's a big deal to put yourself out there and to really own your story and to know that it's going to make a difference. Um, so there's thoughts on eventually one day, doing another big launch or rewrite or add on to the book. So we'll see if that comes. But that's one thing I know that I did learn is wanting to, yeah, to make a big deal about sharing your story. And so for those who are authors or wanting to be, you know, really owning that aspect of what it is that you're sharing with the world.
So, Jen, I love the fact that you're considering a second launch, especially since you've already done a couple edits.
Yeah, there's some
Wonderful.
stories, I can add in that might elaborate a little bit more about some of the things that I've done, and then, to give a little bit more, information about what's happened since, because I really feel like getting into a relationship, there's always ups and downs. It's not just a smooth sailing, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so I feel like there's an essence to who I am in this relationship that is very meaningful to the transformation that I had done. Now, granted, my boyfriend got to meet the 2.0 version of me versus the 1.0 version, so he doesn't know the difference. You know what I mean? Like, he just got me from, you know, the better version, um, the more healed version. So, um, he doesn't know any different, but I do for sure.
Yes. Yes. And I love the it's a perfect segue to step into like the next part of the conversation where it's all about self-image and branding and feminine empowerment, and you use the word essence, which
Mm,
I think people don't use that word often enough to describe what they love about another person or
yeah.
what they find, really attractive about that person, because each and every one of us has an essence.
Hmm.
And it's not always going to be, and thankfully so, the essence that another wants.
Right.
But what your essence is, but also your job and your gift, is that you're able to bring out the essence of a woman in order to brand her
Right.
or,
Yeah.
co-create with her, right? That branding experience. So how do you help your clients authentically step into their feminine power and presence when you're on your photo shoot?
Yeah, I think so much of it has to do with the work beforehand. So, really getting to know who that person is. What is it that makes them tick? What are the things that are important, their values, morals, um, literally the essence of who they are, and why people are attracted to them? What is it that they're consistently wanting to share with their clients? What are the ongoing conversations that they might be having, so that we can capture that in an image? And I realize a lot of images are, what could be considered just a headshot, but you want an energy behind that. You want to smile, you want to look, you want a little like me, like I get my nose crinkle, like those are the things that make me me. And, just like you said, you saw a postcard, and no joke, that is the only place I had ever left a card in since I've been here. But I realized that photo does have an energy to it, and I could share that image, but it is something that is, that I want to capture in other people. And for me, I feel like it's laughter. Um, a laughter is energy. A laughter has movement. It has like, oh, I kind of get that person. So I don't want it to be like over the top laughter, but I want there to be a genuine smile, because a fake posed smile has blank energy. Um, or vanilla energy. I don't know. Vanilla is a great flavor, but
Yeah.
whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't have the same. So you just laughing like that, that's when I would get the photo. Because that's really where people can see somebody.
Yes. And those, even the candid shots, people are really into
Mhm.
candid shots. I love candid shots. But candid shots are sometimes, needs choreographing of how we show our essence. And just having worked with you, I know, I mean, we just gel anyway.
Yeah.
So it's just super fun walking into that space and seeing like it's just another part of who I am, but yet I want to be seen in this way, right?
Hmm.
So I get a lot of feedback on my website, and it's not my website, it's my pictures, right?
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it all goes together because it is my little virtual home that I get to design. But
Right.
um, why do you feel that branding is so important?
It's what attracts people to you. They don't get to know you unless you're visible. And in today's society, we're inundated with photos. And so many of them can be fake or false or posed, or, it's the selfie world, it's the Instagram world, it's the, let me pose perfectly. If I think of like teenage girls, they all have the same look, and I don't feel anything when I see those pictures other than almost a sadness, because I don't feel like they're capturing who they really are in the moment, being fun or playful or living their teenage years, you know what I mean? And I feel like as adult women, we we get nervous. We're like, oh well, I don't look good in pictures, or oh I don't. But people want to see you. So you need somebody who can see you, and find that energy that the other person is going to be like, oh, I get them, or oh, I like their energy. And I'm an energy person. Um, and so my empathic, intuitive energy state is when I meet somebody and I see them, oh, I get that. Like, oh, I want to capture that little spark that I just saw. Because somebody else is also going to be attracted to it. They may not be able to name it, but there's an energy there. And that's what's important about branding. You want to connect.
I know you photograph women in different industries. Can you walk through the process and name some of the benefits of how you would stand out in your industry?
Yeah. I recently worked with a lady who's doing work with ladies who have menopause or perimenopause. They're in that stage of life, and she is into the health and wellness aspect of it. And so, let's say a health and wellness person, she had never had a branding photo shoot done before. She wanted to showcase how she was in her own home. How does she operate in the morning preparing food? What are the things that bring her joy? So we went out to her garden, and this was, in the fall, but went out to her garden and she picked flowers. because flowers were an energy for her. We got pictures of her working out because, building strength in our age of perimenopause or menopause is hugely important. So the location for her was important because she wanted to show how she lived her life. And that's how others would relate to her, to be like, oh, I could do that. I could make a smoothie. I could lift some weights in my living room, or, you know, the energy of having nice things around me that make me happy is also important. But if you're a real estate agent, let's look at a staged home that you want to sell. Maybe you're not there yet, but maybe that's what you want to be selling. So put yourself in the energy of the space that you want others to know. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm even striving for. Um, you connect with nature. You are more of a nature enthusiast. Let's do outdoor photos. If you love working at a coffee shop, the energy of being in a coffee shop is more like social. And I also do images where, if you are a coach and you are doing like one-on-one in person, um, it's important that you have other people in your images. So making sure that that is also something that we look at is, how do you work with people? And can we bring them in? I've done massage therapy. Well, you need your hands on a body to get those images. So really, I look at, who are you? What is it that you're offering? What is the energy that you want to portray? Let's also look at your branding, the elements of your brand. Do you have a color scheme that portrays the energy? You can look at brand archetypes. I work with other brand strategists, and in working with them, they can also help me and be like, okay, here are the things that we've looked at. This is the energy that we need. Here's the color scheme that we're going for. Let's stay within that palette. It doesn't mean that we have to do verbatim, but we want to find the essence. And again, we're going back to that word.
Yeah.
So the essence is really what we're after, and so that people resonate. And you want it congruent. The worst thing for me to see is a website that has really beautiful imagery from one photographer and then a stock photo in the middle of it. You can spot that stock photo in an instant and it loses validity for some reason. So people love to see you in your images. They want to see your things that attracted, that they're also attracted to. So either stay with all stock images or, keep it consistent throughout your whole branding.
Thank you for illustrating. There are so many benefits, and sometimes you don't even see what the benefits are, but it's so relatable. And more than anything,
Yeah.
I think that is the currency.
And really quick, real estate agents, there's thousands of them. But why do I want to work with that person? What do they offer? What are the behind the scene things that they are doing that might make it different from somebody else? What are they sharing in their images that are going to make you want to work with them? That's what I'm looking for. Like I'm picturing one of the real estate agents I photographed, and she's laying down on tile, and it's a really beautiful pattern, and she's like, I love tile, and she gets so excited about tile. Like really great patterns. And so it's just one of those images that to me sticks out, that is like, I haven't seen any other real estate agent, like lay down on tile because they think tile's cool. Um, but yeah, and see, it gets a reaction from us where you're just like, oh, yeah, okay, she's real, like, yes, we love tile. Like, do you like a bath? Do you like a shower? Which one is your forte? Talking about those things. So there's ways that you can really weave in versus just like a blank photo shoot just to get photos. I really want to dive in and figure out what is the energy behind the photo that people are really going to resonate with.
So good. So good. I love that example. And I love tile. You've worked with so many women in
Mm-hmm.
transformational spaces and transformational ways. What are some of the biggest breakthroughs you've seen women experience?
Yeah. Um, I really find that during retreats, and one of the other things that has changed, and I haven't shared it yet, but plant medicine work has been probably my number one biggest transformational healer, eye opener, um, like physically healing, emotionally healing, karmically healing. And so I feel like a lot of the retreats that I go on, I have a new presence because I've done so much of that healing work. And so I feel like when I'm in a retreat space, one, I'm a photographer, but two, I'm also usually co-hosting or leading classes. And really where I'm trying to get people to go to is that inner healing world. So it's not about a yoga pose. It's about what are you letting go of in this time and space, in the week that you might be with them, um, that's going to allow new energy to come in, the old energy to shift. And a lot of times that comes with, you know, um, emotional purging, like crying, needing to let things out. I feel like so many women have breakthroughs during these retreats. So it's not just about yoga, it's not just about being in a pretty location. It's that there's a different knowing about who they are, what they deserve. Maybe it's the first time they've ever treated themselves, and finding value and self-worthiness. It comes a lot with the conversations. And I feel like so many women that I have worked with find little shifts. It doesn't have to be a ginormous, monumental shift. Um, and it's the little shifts over time that amount to bigger change. And and so I feel like, there hasn't been just one. I mean, there's been lots of big ahas, but I really feel as an overall for the past 11 years, it's the little shifts. It's the planting a seed of inspiration, of change, of value, into another human where they see that change over time because of those moments that we've shared.
Their activation point for the soul, but also in knowing that we need another to become who we're meant to be. We
Yeah.
can't do it by ourselves.
Hmm.
And it is that natural space, whatever country, whatever setting that we're in, these are all contributing, right? I'm appreciating the fact that you said the micro
Hmm.
shifts in either awareness or in body release, in emotional release, because it does make space for possibilities, but also in the way that she now moves. For many women who have fallen into pattern, it's also body pattern.
Yeah.
How do we hold ourselves now after we've had so many experiences, small t, big T traumas, and that they've accumulated in the body, but now being able to express in new ways? I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Are you recommending that women are doing this once a year, twice a year as part of their
Yeah.
transformation?
I mean, first off, I want to be very clear. I am not, licensed. I am not, sharing it from my space. I did do a retreat where we incorporated a psilocybin journey, but it was with somebody who was trained in it. Um, so I'm just purely coming from my experience. But when I first started back in 2014, um, I mean, again, being intuitive, I just kind of listened. I mean, I was presented And I kept listening to the universe saying like, oh, you're not healing through talk therapy. You're not healing through this. You're not healing through this. I had heard about this ayahuasca. I didn't know anything about it, but other people were around me saying, oh my gosh, this would be so healing for you. 1000% it was. It's so intense, but also so beautiful. So it really needs to be somebody who is wanting and willing to meet those dark spaces and really wanting to do that work. And to be honest, a lot of people don't want to go there. They don't want to go through the challenging. They're scared. These medicines have been around thousands of years. Our government makes it illegal because, or not. I mean, I don't know if it's illegal, but it's not allowed, I guess you could say. I don't know if they're criminalizing people for it, but because it opens your senses and it opens your mind to knowing what is the truth. And when you see the truth for what it is, it makes you question authority. They don't want people to question authority. So you have to be willing to know that what you see is going to change who you become. And whether you do it once, maybe like for me, once wasn't enough. I had layers. It's an onion. Healing is an onion. You got to peel back a layer. But the key part, the medicine doesn't do the work. It is what is revealing what is out there, what might be the issues, how you can resolve things. It's the integration afterwards that is the healing process. So the medicine is only a television saying, here's your story, here's what's going on, now you actually have to do something about it. Are you willing to do something about it? Are you willing to find the right people to support you? Get into a space that feels safe, a safe container, and really respect that it is medicine, it is work, it is sacred, and it's not a willy-nilly, like, oh, I'm just going to do it for shits and giggles. And so I can't recommend anything in terms of timing, but really listening to your intuition of going like, ooh, there's another layer. Ooh, there's another layer. I said yes to some medicine work maybe a month ago, and I went there being like, oh, I want joy and laughter. And instead I screamed into a pillow of pure frustration and anger and just grief. And I didn't know how deeply stored that was. And so while it wasn't pleasant in the moment, it's exactly what I needed to shift that energy that was stuck within me. So finding somebody who you trust, finding somebody who you can really understand, make sure there isn't any health complications that might be contraindicated as well. And know that you got to do the work afterwards.
Thank you for sharing something so personal, and I look forward to mine. I have friends that this is their specialty, so I look forward to being in their care when I do it.
And if I can just add,
yeah,
for anybody who is wanting a transformational shift and it has nothing to do with plant medicine, holotropic breathwork is a great place to start. It will take you to the same place many times and allow you that experience of really diving deep into a healing space or beautiful ethereal space. So yeah, breath work, specifically from my experience, the holotropic, where you go into a little bit of that hyperventilation mode, and there's the whole science behind it. But it definitely can take you there.
It does.
And I've done a lot of different
yeah.
modalities, and that one always gets me.
And they're lovely because you can be closely put together, and to see someone you've never met before sobbing or they can't even speak,
Yeah.
because it's so intense. Everybody's experience is so different, and you feel like, oh my gosh, this has been such a blessing to witness
Yeah.
complete strangers and me being a stranger to them. And we're having this experience, and it's like, but this is the human
Right.
experience. So we all just got so real so fast through the
Hmm.
breath. And it is like, oh, it's so profound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Thank you
love
for
share
bringing
circles
that up.
afterwards too. That's where you get the most fun out of it. You're like, whoa,
Yes. Yeah.
what?
Is that where you went? Yes.
Yeah.
100%. So, just a few more questions. And I love the fact that you're just throwing in what's coming up that would add to our conversation. But going back to brand and soul essence, how we just kind of naturally come into the essence as part of my brand and part of my mission. How have you done that?
I think it goes back again to the initial questions that I ask. Um, People light up when they get to talk about themselves, and they get to share who they are, what they, and so listening, really finding out those key aspects. And then my photography is the reflection. And so when people see images of themselves, they're like, I get this comment, I swear to God, the most. And it's the number one question is, you made me look so good. I made you look nothing. I was a reflection of who you were in that moment. I just captured it. So I didn't make you do anything. I just happened to capture it. So it's kind of like mind blowing to some people where they're like, "Oh my God, I look that way," or I I feel a way about myself when I see that. And when you share those images that you feel good about, it gives you a little boost in your confidence, and that is a brand. They want to see that you're like, oh, I'm confident in who I am and what I do and what I share, and I want to share these images because I feel good about myself in them. And that's just a mere reflection of who they are being in that moment. um, and that's just my job to be a witness to it. And I feel, to be honest, people feel comfortable in my presence, um, just because of who I've learned to become. This is a new me. So this wasn't my old presence. My old presence was a lot more uh, chaotic. But this is just me learning to tap into who I am so I can allow others to be themselves. So I think there's a permission given when people are with me, and it just allows them to be themselves. And there I am, just being a witness to it. And I think
Mm,
that just helps with being the brand, because so many of the women entrepreneurs that I work with are their brand. And
yeah.
that's how you attract your clients, being you.
It's that energetic signature.
That word. I'm actually going to write that down.
Um, so as we wrap up, are you currently excited about something special, or what would you like to share with the
Yeah,
listeners, how they can connect with you?
yeah. I'm turning 50. That's my big thing. So I'm turning 50 in a week and a half. I literally just did my own boudoir brand photo shoot. I do those as well with women. I call them RAW,
Ooh.
standing for Real Authentic Women. And it's a little bit of fun, playful, sassy, nude boudoir, whatever, the whole encompassing thing. And I found a great photographer that I love working with. And so I just did my own session. And so I feel like me stepping into my power at 50, I really want to give permission to other women to do the same. And so I really want to capture more women in their beauty and their fabulousness at whatever age they're at. So I really want to be offering more of my raw sessions, because it's raw. It's who are you, and really embracing it. And it doesn't have to be for anybody but yourself. But they're super fun. And I'm also going to be climbing Kilimanjaro in late summer, just in helping with a women's school in Africa, raising money. And so I'm excited about just bringing my aliveness out into the world. And I'm always available to help women with their branding, updating headshots, but also retreats. Retreats are a pure joy, capturing the essence of the energy of the group, but also being able to offer something back with my yoga or being able to hold space or ceremony. So yeah, I got lots to share in this world, and like people will find me when they feel resonant. So I love those moments of, hey, I just happened to come upon you, and I really resonated with you, and I want to work with you. So those are the
Yes.
things I
Well,
love.
I love the personal shares.
Thank
Happy
you.
birthday.
Thank
Congratulations
you.
for climbing that mountain. My
Yeah.
mother did it for her 50th.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And
Um,
so I admire you. And then tacking on the additional,
Helping out with the women's
I
school.
say, yeah,
Yeah.
I was looking for the
Charity.
word
Yeah.
charity, but I
Yeah.
didn't I was looking for another term and it wasn't coming to me. But
Yes.
yes, just your heart, your generous heart is really more what I was after, because I think sometimes charity takes on everybody's own definition of it, but I just see it
Hmm.
as like, oh my gosh, you're already doing something magnificent, and then I'm just going to put a cherry on top of more generous heart
Yeah.
to fill your cup. And that's what I see you doing and being, and I think it's just so incredible to see you in your light and your power. And I just thank you for sharing all your wisdom and experiences on the podcast with my listeners and me.
Thank you.
So thank you,
Yeah.
Jen, so much.
And I just want to offer up, I always do free brand audits, or discovery calls. So just getting to know a little bit about you, looking at your website, your business, and giving you some feedback. There's no strings attached, and but just to give you some support and ideas. And if it feels in alignment to work together, great. If not, hopefully it's just a great conversation. So those are available on my website. Easy
Okay.
to book us one of those.
Okay. Well, we're putting everything in the show notes
And you're
and all that.
amazing. Thank you
Just,
so much for
oh,
inviting me.
yes, I look forward to doing many things with you in the future,
Yes.
retreats and all good stuff. For now, much love and stay well.
All right. Thank you.
Are you enjoying the Discover Wellbeing podcast? If so, I would love to hear about it. Leaving a review helps more people find us and really makes a difference. So share your thoughts on Apple Podcast or your favorite platform.